Hello, Laziali all over the world. 49 minutes played and one goal. This is not a bad stat, not a bad number for just turning next week, probably if I'm not wrong, 18, Luca Romero. Alasdair, 49 minutes in Serie A. If you want to add Europe League, we can go to 89. 89 minutes played, not a full match yet, one goal, and what a goal from Luca Romero, right?
Yeah, it was a good goal. I mean, it was very instinctive. He was helped out by Di Gregorio, I would suggest. but yeah, no, it's fantastic. I mean, this kid just keeps breaking records. We've been talking about him on and off for the last year and a half now, since he arrived from Mallorca. And for anyone who's since forgotten, while he was there, he became the youngest ever player to feature in La Liga when he was only 15. Managed to score a couple of goals for the senior team at Mallorca as well. I mean, it is incredible, really, what he's achieving at the age he is. Like you say, not even 18 yet. Lazio's second youngest scorer ever after last night, and the last one was in the 1930s. So I don't know if I even count. So, yeah, I mean, it's really impressive. And you must be delighted, Vittorio, because I tweeted after saying, I'm not sure who'll be happier about this, Romero himself or the fans, because a lot of fans have been really, really wanting this to happen. And I think you especially, you've been a big fan of Romero for a while.
Yeah, obviously, I'm very happy. And I think all the fans were looking for a youngster that comes out and really play that well. And, the curva, every time they were announcing Luca Romero on the bench, everybody was clapping their hands. Everybody was talking in the stadium. When is Luca Romero going to have some chance? When he's going to play? And honestly, he didn't have that much time because, again, yesterday was the first time he played 45 minutes. So, and he immediately had an impact. Recovered the ball, shot twice on target, score one goal. And yeah, it wasn't a difficult goal. But if you go back and watch, he was behind the two defender. He understood immediately that if the goalkeeper didn't stop that ball, it will go there. And he anticipated everybody. So the things that impressed me more is that he looks like he's a 20 years old professional football player, right? He has experience. He's focused, which watching other youngster, you don't see it. So that's really interesting. Obviously, it's not only that, right? You can be motivated, focused, but if you have others of foot, then you're not going to go anywhere, right? So you need even to have skills, and Luca has probably both of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would stage a word of warning to a certain extent. I mean, it was a good goal. It was very encouraging to see him get, like you say, a full half of football, which he's not managed this season. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. I still felt like, even in the performance last night, there was a lot that he didn't do particularly well. I think he still seems like he's not quite tactically astute enough or positionally intelligent enough to really know how to link up with the team properly on the ball. But he's 17. I mean, let's put it in this perspective. The World Cup's starting next week. By the time the next World Cup starts, this kid still won't be 21. So, I mean, it's so young. This guy has plenty of time as long as they get him a new contract. And I don't think we need to rush into lauding him as being the new Messi or this great white hope. But it's amazing that that we, like you say, actually have a young player to get excited about now. Because it's been a long time, hasn't it? I mean, I'm trying to think the last time there was kind of a young player coming through who's actually feels like they're going to make it.
Pedro Neto probably was the other one.
He just had such limited game time. That was the thing.
Well, what about Luca Romero? He just had 89 minutes.
Yeah, but Neto was little bit older as well. I mean, I would say as well, I think that Romero, what he is doing well here is he's making sure he makes the most of the time he's getting, because he's really not had much
No.
in terms of substitute appearances, even like, 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there. But every time he comes on, he looks like he's giving it absolutely everything he's got. And I think people really appreciate that. Obviously, that's spilt over too much, and he um, showed his youth and inexperience really in that Europa League game where he was sent off. But by now, making sure that when he's given as much as a full half of football, he's going to go and score the winning goal in a really important match. That's big. That says a lot about him, and it's worth putting that in context as well. This wasn't the fourth goal in a 4-0 win against Cremonese. This was an absolutely crucial moment in a very tight game.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why I think it's important. I mean, he scored a vital goal that, we could go back maybe in June and say, hey, you remember the goal Romero scored in November? That probably was the key for this. So that's really important. Sari said, let's not put too much pressure on the kid. He's young, he needs to improve. But Alasdair, it's tough. I mean, with Zaccagni out, I don't know. Ciro came back yesterday. I don't know if he's going to start Sunday, another very important match. I think he has to come in and start being part of this rotation there in front. And it's a joke, but yesterday night I was thinking, if we still had Inzaghi, he would have put Marusic on front instead of putting in Luca Romero. Maybe he would have tried Stefan Radu on the left wing rather than Luca Romero. I know you're laughing, but I'm quite serious on this.
Well, I take your point. He would have found alternatives, I'm sure. Yeah, Marusic maybe genuinely. No, yeah, exactly. The openness to actually giving opportunities is good, but I mean, let's put it in context again. This did come at a time where Ciro Immobile isn't fit yet, where Mattia Zaccagni was ruled out because of an injury, and where Cancellieri was still considered the higher than Romero in the pecking order to get that chance. And it's great to have the two of them to count on. What did you make of the decision to replace Cancellieri at half time? Because I do sometimes wonder what kind of an impact that can have on a young player. I don't think he played particularly terribly or anything, but
No.
to pull him off at half time I mean, obviously the substitution worked, but what did you make of that change?
Well, huge risk, even because we didn't have that many options there. It was all Luca Romero or Luca Romero. So I hope that we don't create this competition between the two. It's not Cancellieri versus Luca Romero. They will probably, hopefully, in the future play together. But as you were mentioning before, every time Luca Romero comes in, it's like he's playing the Champions League final, which is something we don't see from other players. Cancellieri didn't play bad, as you mentioned. I think he had a couple of chances, and he was not 100% convinced. And he did the same in the derby when he came in. We talked about it in the last podcast. When he passed the ball to Felipe Anderson in the biggest chance we had in the second half, he had two options. One, go for it. The second, pass to Basic. He picked the third option that was probably the worst. I think his decision making, especially in the box, is not good enough. But at the end, he celebrated Luca Romero, so I don't think he sees it as a failure. But obviously, Luca Romero is impressing even more than we expecting. On the other side, Cancellieri maybe started very well, but is now a little bit struggling. Maybe he played too many matches and wasn't mentally ready for that. But yeah, big risk from Maurizio Sarri. And again, I didn't see this coming. I mean, Maurizio Sarri is not a famous manager for giving a go to youngsters. Taking that risk, it's a huge leap. And yeah, it was the right choice at the end, even because he took off Vecino and Marcos Antonio that weren't playing great. Vecino again missed a huge chance in the first half. Like against Salernitana, and with Cataldi and Basic, Lazio played a different style of football and was much better.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think all the changes Sarri made yesterday made a big impact, actually. And I think we're starting to see it more from Basic. Is a guy we've spoken about, in the last few weeks and said we need more from him. And I think he's starting to make more of an impact off the bench, certainly than he has done in the past. I thought he looked really lively when he came on yesterday. So yeah, I mean, I would just touching on Cancellieri for a second again. I would agree with that. I think that there's a creeping sensation now after, it's not like he's had tons and tons of minutes either. He's obviously had more than Romero, but there is a feeling that he's very good at the kind of approach play stuff. He's great at attacking space, getting the ball out wide and taking on defenders and really kind of actually knitting together passes to get into space and so on. But it is when he gets in that final third area, he seems to be lacking something. And whether that's sometimes just the courage to actually have a go. I mean, it's not just that he's not scored this season. It's quite hard to remember him actually taking many shots. I might be wrong about that, but it's my feeling is that he's not really been even backing himself that often to have a go. So yeah, I think we want to see a bit more from him in the final third than we have done so far. But it is good to have these options. And look, I think now the other big story from last night, of course, is Immobile coming back way earlier than we expected, just for 5 minutes at the end. But that's still big. And I think now we can really reflect on this period without him as a big success. Much more of a success than we expected. There's the big caveat was the Salernitana game, but beyond that, I think this whole period has gone far more, far better than we really expected when we thought it might be a kind of season derailing moment at the time when he got that injury.
Definitely, because we don't have to forget that Lazio lost 2 matches without Ciro, right? Feyenoord and Salernitana. But we played the derby without Ciro, and we won it. We beat Atalanta away. That's not easy. So we didn't have a easy schedule without Ciro, and still we managed to win important matches. We are second on the table. I know Sarri said it's useless now, but it's always better to be second rather than being seventh, But yeah, I think it's a good sign. And we have to mention Felipe Anderson because, again, yesterday, it wasn't easy because Monza was playing very deep, didn't allow too many spaces to the Brazilian. But still, Felipe played good football, created chances, which is very important. Again, one that he provided a great pass to Vecino, who missed, what was it? A penalty. It was nearly a penalty, even easier than a penalty, probably. So yeah, I think Felipe step up, which is one of the things that we were concerned, Alasdair, right? Because we said that, unfortunately, the Brazilian usually feel the pressure when he has to step up, when he's the main man. Most of the time, it doesn't work out. Maybe he's old enough now to feel this pressure, to understand it, and still play great football.
Yeah, been really impressed with him. The job he's done standing in for Ciro. And actually, you know what? I remember after that, the Udinese game, I think it was, that Ciro went off.
Yeah.
When we were pretty downbeat about what that meant for this team and the season. But I remember saying something along the lines of, if we're trying to find a kind of silver lining, it's that Lazio are going to be forced to find an alternative way of playing. And if that does work, that puts you in a much better position for the season ahead. And that is what's happened. I think that once Ciro's back now, I would definitely expect him to be getting back into that team once he's fully fit. But it must be a huge relief and actually real comfort to Sarri and to the rest of the squad to know that they're not dependent on this guy. They're not reliant on him to get results in big games. They've beaten Atalanta, they've beaten Roma. Without him, without Sergei, this is a good enough team without its star players. It's a better team with them, don't get me wrong, but this is a functioning good team without Ciro Immobile. And as they showed against Roma, a team that can still get results without Milinkovic-Savic as well. So I think that huge credit to Anderson, but also to Sarri for the way that he's managed this period, because it wasn't an easy run of fixtures. It was a relentless run of fixtures, and there were a couple of slip-ups in there, and we're out of the Europa League, which is bad, and the Salernitana game was bad. But all in all, I think the period, as a whole, has gone pretty well, and winning those head-to-head games against teams who are around you in that top four area is massive nowadays in Serie A, when that is the tiebreaker. Pretty happy.
You didn't mention Zaccagni, and I think this is an important player who step up as well when we miss Ciro, and now he's out, and that was another big concern, because last year we mentioned about Zaccagni. We said he needs to score more goals. He needs to get more in the penalty box. He needs to help more the number 9. He did it this year. I think he scored already 5 goals so far. And his injury is a problem, is an issue. And to be able to win against Monza without Zaccagni, it's an encouraging sign. Now, he's probably going to miss against Juventus. And don't know if Cancellieri would be good enough to win against Juventus, or will Sarri push for Ciro Immobile? Let's not forget that yesterday Sarri said, well, Ciro played very little, but he was able to play 30 minutes. So I don't know if this means that Sunday he will start. I don't think it's likely, but maybe come in the second half. What's your expectation
for Sunday?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a surprise to see Immobile go straight into the starting lineup again, just because of the length of time he's been out, because of the risk that might hold, because of what Sarri said. Probably Anderson again. I mean, what's Zaccagni's condition going into Sunday? I can't quite remember where we are with him.
Sorry, I'm dying.
Better than yours.
Don't think he's playing.
No.
So
it's tough.
Start again.
So then, I guess the question is how you manage Immobile's game time, because with the absence of Zaccagni, how you're going to need Ciro. You're going to need to rely on him to a certain extent, whether that's doing a half and a half, or bringing him on just for the final half an hour, or whether you start with him and then take him off. I don't know. Definitely encouraging for timing for Romero to come in and score, because you've still, between Pedro, Cancellieri, Romero, Anderson and Immobile, you've still got decent options there to select from. But it's going to be interesting to see how that's handled. Also, how Luis Alberto's handled as well. Yet again, we've seen more, rumors about his future and January and so on, which is nothing new. But I guess we can't ignore the fact that he's not really been a big protagonist this season. He's made a good impact in a lot of games, mostly as a substitute, but he's not been the absolute stalwart key man that he used to be for this Lazio team. But yeah, I mean, I think looking at this Juventus game, it's all signs pointing to 0-0, isn't it? It's the two biggest defenses in the league, and I don't know. It's Juve are playing some dreadful football, but they're getting some good results.
What is it? 5th victory in a row for Juventus?
Yeah.
6 clean sheets consecutive? I mean, I watched Verona Juventus, was it, right? Verona was at home, yeah. Verona, in the first half, played better, created more chances. They missed a number 9, basically, Verona. Sorry. And the first chance Juventus had, they won. They scored, right? But I don't know. It's going to be very difficult for Lazio, especially without Ciro.
Shall I just point out to our listeners that Vittorio is being a bit of a champ today, and he's battling through COVID to bring you your post Monza podcast, so you can excuse him a few coughs.
It's terrible. I got the COVID when anybody's talking about it, so it's a little bit bizarre. But
yeah, we're over it now. Come on, find a more interesting illness.
Someone forgot to tell me. I thought it was all about COVID still. So, but yeah, Juventus is not playing great football, but it's hard to score to them, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of like the ultimate worst parts of Allegri football at the moment, where he does find just somehow he's got them winning games consistently. But yeah, I watched the Verona game last night as well. You're right; they had plenty of chances in that first half, especially that they couldn't take. A couple of pretty contentious refereeing decisions going on there as well. A very clear contact with the ball on Danilo's hand that wasn't given as a penalty because it was a deflection, and then a penalty for a high boot, a kind of stamp from Bonucci wasn't given because he touched the ball. And I think Verona are pretty angry about both those decisions. So yeah, it was a game of fine margins. And look, you shouldn't underestimate a team who are on a run like Juve are, but we also shouldn't overestimate the kind of level they're playing at because of those results. Then again, you can probably say the same about Lazio right now. The last 2 games have been really, battling through to get those wins rather than playing at their absolute best. 2 1-0 wins in a row and 2 real battles, I guess.
A completely different mindset from Lazio. I mean, I wanted to talk about this. Last year, probably we would have lost yesterday night, right? Without Ciro, without playing great football, with Milinkovic-Savic, we didn't talk about Milinkovic-Savic, not playing great, Lazio would have lost last year. Instead, we fought, and another thing very important, Alasdair, is that shot on target of Monza in the second half, 0, right? Just like in the derby. This is important because in the second half, if the other team doesn't shot on target, it's very difficult to score, right? So, sorry.
Yeah.
That's very encouraging.
Yeah, the second half was great. I mean, the first half was pretty worrying. The Patania goal that was disallowed was, I couldn't believe it had been called back because I didn't see anything wrong with it in real time. And it's one of those VAR offsides. It's about the kind of length of his big toe that's made him offside. And you have to feel a little bit sorry for the bulldozer scoring this pirouette back heel, and it doesn't count for that. But so yeah, rode the luck at times. But yeah, that's 8 clean sheets in 9 games. The Salernitana game, the obvious blip, but it's incredible, really. Like you say, that's why I'm saying it's 0-0 written all over this game because of Juve's defensive record, Lazio's defensive record. But at the same time, now that I've said that, it's probably going to be 4-4, isn't it?
Definitely. Vlahovic could not be playing, if I understood correct what Allegri said, which could be a big advantage for us. But it's very difficult, right, Alasdair? It's going to be an important match because we are second, playing against probably the best moment for Juventus, right? They're not playing great football, but they have confidence. Fifth victory in a row. They're there. They're fourth. I mean, they're above Roma. So
Yeah. And to be fair, I don't know if you saw the Derby d'Italia, but they did play well actually, especially in the second half against Inter. That was the first time I've thought this season that kind of really seeing some decent football from them. So they did deserve to win that game against the top opponent, and that wasn't very long ago at all. But yeah, it's a massive match to finish the year with. Like you say, I mean, Lazio up in second. The chance to be second at the World Cup break is an incredible opportunity. And yet, I don't think they should have any fear going to Turin now. And I think that's something that has changed massively over the last 2.5 years of Juve's struggles, is that the fear factor is gone now. That used to be a place that we would go and just have basically no hope.
yeah.
There was almost this, I remember one game in particular where there was just this attitude of complete complacency. Like they just couldn't believe that they were going to get a result, so they didn't even bother trying. But that's gone now, and that should have gone because of how poor Juve have been in recent years. So I don't know. I feel like they can go there with confidence.
Yeah, I would add that even how we defend is completely different. I don't know. Yesterday, Romagnoli again was great, but this team, except against Salernitana, probably believe they can finish match without conceding goals, and they don't care who they have in front of them. So that's, I mean, let's not forget last year, Lazio was one of the worst defense in Serie A. Everything is changed, right? So yeah, we definitely have a chance. And we have nothing to lose.
The last visit as well, the 2-2 draw, 2-0 down at half time, coming back to get a draw with that last second Milinkovic-Savic goal. Unfortunately, Alexandro, who scored a goal for us in that game last year, has gone and managed to get himself sent off in the space of 10 minutes last night after coming on as a substitute, so he won't be playing. But yeah, no, I mean, look, that Juve team. It's functioning, it's getting results, but they don't have a lot of players to be scared of. My question to you is: would a draw be a good result? Is that something? It's something in years gone by we would have absolutely said immediately, yes, of course, that's a good result. But now in the current situation, Lazio ahead of Juve in the table, Juve looking vulnerable despite this recent run. Would you be satisfied, happy to take a draw in advance, or
no? I think Lazio has to go there and play for the win, and this is the only way we can do it. Yes, Ciro's not going to start, but I think we really have a chance. So yeah, we'll try to win it. And sorry, if we lose, we are still second or third. So above of what we should be pointing to. So I think that's still positive. We have nothing to lose. Inter is playing against Atalanta, I think, right? So one of the two will lose points. So we are not going to lose a lot of points compared to the competitors.
I was just having a quick look at the head-to-heads, and we haven't actually won in Turin since 2017. Didn't realize it had been quite that long. So, but history's made to be broken, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I think it's a great opportunity, really great opportunity, and the team's playing well. It's full of confidence. I think it's not blowing teams away at the moment. They're not. But at the same time, like you say, these are games that versions of Lazio in the past wouldn't have won. So being able to show that kind of grit and determination and fight and organization, all these kind of qualities that have previously been lacking in Lazio teams, if they can marry the two things and find that kind of free-flowing attacking style again, they're going to be a formidable force. But it's one final effort, isn't it? There's not a huge amount of players Lazio have got going to the World Cup. I saw Vecino was named in the Uruguay squad this morning, but we're not going to have a lot. So it really is kind of one final push before they get some time off. So
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's go for it and see what happens. Before I die, I think we can wrap it up here, and we're going to be back after Juventus Lazio next Sunday. I do apologize for my voice and my struggles. COVID is not good. And thanks, Alasdair, for joining me. And we're going to be back next Monday to talk about Juventus Lazio, and then maybe do a sort of half-season review. And
hopefully, as long as you can make it to Monday.
Crossing fingers, I should. And maybe talk about transfer market, Minico Savi's situation, Luca Romero situation, Luis Alberto, who's not playing, situation. And obviously we'll need to talk about the new Ballon d'Or, Vedat Murishi. I mean, scoring again. What a champ. Thanks, Alasdair.
Cheers.